most of my friends, I met them through network marketing. And I could honestly say that this guy that we're interviewing is a true friend. You know, we've known you for a couple years now. Love to tell your story a little bit. And Paul has been part of Unlimited Profits for what, almost 3 years?
Almost 3 years. February 2011, we really kicked it up a notch, yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to do some new things, and it's always an evolution process, but the thing that remains the same is friendships and relationships. First of all, what brought you to the profession of home-based business or network marketing? I mean, what would bring a person from, a little bit about your history, what brought you to make the decision to go pro?
To go pro, I think it was best described as a reality check. I had my pop, you know. Robert talks about it best in his book, How Is That Working? Roadmap from Rat Race to Freedom. And I realized that even though I had my own company when I met Robert in 1995, the company owned me. And I'd been introduced to the industry of direct sales, multi-level marketing, network marketing by my mom when I was just a little kid. She was doing Fuller Brush, Tupperware, whatever she could do to feed her 6 kids and give my dad a little bit of a break. So I knew about the industry, and yet I really didn't give it the credit and the respect that it truly deserves like it does today. And that's why now we have people that are proud to say they're in the profession of relationship marketing. And my background, basically, I was a military vet that started a small home-based business. And while my business was very successful, when I went out to sea, my business went out to sea. Fortunately, I had a good mentor by the name of Bill Ebert, and he gave me 6 months, and I gave him 6 months of my life to really learn everything about the business, to do the right things at the right time, and most importantly with the right people, the people that you trust, love, and want to spend time with. And it just so happened that when I was in the service, I realized that I needed to get out as soon as possible. It was just not a good time. In 1987, I was in the Persian Gulf, even though we considered it Cold War time. The truth is, it's never safe over there. So that's a whole other story, though. So let's stay focused on the business of the business, and that is helping people make their life better. And that's what I saw in the industry, was people helping each other become better people, become more focused on the values of integrity, character, courage, and trust, and integrity. Did I say that already? But the industry itself kind of scared me, because although there was all these people that I surrounded myself with that were passionate and really good at standing by my side, there were much more that were just bailing out and just getting caught in the churn, and not making any money, to tell you the truth. So I kept it part-time for about 25 years. Even after I met Robert, I only would give it the time that I thought it deserved. And really what it was I didn't think I was worthy of making all the money that the real successful people in the industry were making, like you and Robert and Eric Worre and some of these others.
Well, I think one of the things that people don't know is a lot of times you're successful before the money hits the bank account.
Yes.
It's what we call the pop. Once a person gets it and they decide to go pro, they're basically going to make it happen whether anyone else believes them or not. And I think that there's quite a few people that are making 2014 that. What is it that is there anything that you can help someone in? What do they need to focus on? What do they need to do? What do they need to meditate on? What actually causes you to go from, like you said, you gave it part-time effort for years, and I've seen in your attitude and demeanor that you're ready to go all in.
Right.
Is there a secret to that, or what would you recommend to the people who are in the same scenario as you? They want to make this thing work. They know they need to go all in to make it become very, very successful. Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, I think in any business, it's important to surround yourselves around not only smart people, but smarter people than yourself. And what I learned in surrounding myself with people like Robert Hollis and yourself, Bill, and also Bob Klein, is that documentation beats conversation. I have so many business people that will tell me they have the best opportunity for me, but truthfully, every opportunity is a great opportunity. It's whether or not we are willing to make it a great opportunity, whether you're willing to make it a great opportunity. And that really comes down to a couple simple competencies, to constantly be learning. I'm a lifelong learner. One of the things that I realized in the industry is that it was not so much about selling products, but it was about the personal development that took place while you were associated with a company. In 1995, I began to realize that my paid telephone service company was going to be replaced with cell phones. Anybody remember that, can relate to that? Mm-hmm. Well, fortunately, American Communications Network was coming out with deregulating local and long distance. So I jumped in with that, knowing that the business model worked. What I also realized was that if I get involved with these gentlemen, I'm going to change. What I wanted from my business, I didn't get, and that was more friendships, more free time. Instead, I owned my own job, and then I had employees that I had to pay for. Then I had taxes and 3 different accountants tell me 3 different things. So it was really a bad time to think that coming from a blue-collar family where my father was a butcher for 55 years, that I actually knew anything about running a business. Now, that leads me to the second thing, and that is the tenacity to work it and give it all you got, to be all in. The reason why we were successful in the paid telephone industry was, one, we were at the right place at the right time. Judge Green had just deregulated Ma Bell, broke up Ma Bell, and nobody understood or wanted to do the dirty work of collecting the phones, cleaning the phones. The thing that happened is that I realized working hard is not always the best thing, because there are other areas in my life that suffered. So when I met Robert, all I wanted to do was have a friend. So for the next 4 years, while Robert and I went around the country with Dr. Bill Newell and helping people start their own ACN small home-based business, we just had a blast. So I was really, in those days, very happy, fulfilled. Success in my definition is that you are fulfilled. Success without fulfillment is really failure, and I have to give credit to Tony Robbins about that. So in 1996, I sold the company, and I said, I'm just going to stick with ACN and make it work. And I did pretty good. Went to 1997, we opened up the markets in Canada, yet I still wasn't making the kind of money that some of these other guys were. And I didn't realize what Malcolm Gladwell talks about in the tipping point, that you really have to put 10,000 hours in before you start to see the manifestation of your hard work. And most people won't even put 100 hours in unless they're watching TV. So, not to get off track, but I think what had to happen to me was I also needed to become humble. I needed to learn the $1 million question, and that was, it's not about me, it's about you. And would you do me a favor? Would you do me a favor and tell me who you know that wants to change their life, that really needs an extra $300, $400 a month, that would truly change their life? Because most families are bankrupt if they miss a payment or if they become unemployed. And the thing that happened to me, unfortunately, is I had to hit rock bottom. And in 2005, I found myself on the streets, divorced, pretty much with a couple nickels to rub. But one thing that nobody could take away from me was that my faith in God and my experience would lead me to look up and to pick myself up with God's grace and start taking steps. So I went to work at UPS. My mother worked for UPS part-time for 10 years. She had benefits. She had a pension. And the beautiful thing is, that's a whole other story, but while I was at UPS, I started to think differently again. I started to think about being the employee. You know what? I don't have any headaches. All I got is these packages. I'm a package handler. I show up. I even have union dues, so they're going to make sure I have a job for the rest of my life. Instead, fortunately, Robert never gave up with me. He gave me a call one day. He was involved with Pro Travel Network, and he said, "Do you still dream?" I said, "Yes, I still dream." But it was hard. It was painful. And he gave me some hope. He gave me some hope to take another look at the industry, and that was 2008. And I realized that if I just put a little bit of time in each week consistently, then I would begin to see the results. And I like to say that where I am today is because not only Robert Hollis, but Robert Hollis Jr. called me on March the 7th, 2009. And I'll never forget that day because I was finally moving in to my own little apartment, a little 600 square foot apartment in South Philadelphia. And I was happy. I was enjoying time with the family. I had money in my pocket. I had a job. And I had a dream and a plan that I was going to make that million or 2 million or 13 million someday soon. And I had friends. I had friends like Bob Klein that never gave up and would keep in touch with me. So I think when you think about the industry, the relationships that you make that go beyond decades and through ups and downs. I remember Robert talking to me about marriage and telling me that marriage wasn't for me. And that's a whole other story, right, Bill? Because you could definitely help us out when it comes to marriage and so forth. But what ended up happening finally in 2011 is I stepped away from UPS. I realized that I didn't need the health care benefits there, that I really couldn't grasp what was here in front of me if I was still holding on to what was behind me. So I had to let go of that and just go for it and be all in and trust that each step I took, I was going to learn what I needed to learn to be successful. And the most important thing was if I was focused on helping another person, another human being change their life for the better, then God was going to bless it. And here we are with Unlimited Profits now. And what do we have? About 75,000 users online that are learning about this internet, or more importantly, I like to say, home-based businesses, online marketing. And the commute's great. The residual income is unlimited. That's why we call it Unlimited Profits. The philosophy of the people that are involved in the leadership with the company is one that I am aligned with, and see how we're going to truly help everyone out. Especially today, I was at the VA hospital, and I was noticing how many guys were being wheeled around or hobbling around on prosthetics, but they still had their hands, so they could still use the laptops. They could still use a computer to connect with the world. Instead of being isolated and something else happened, they could connect with people and make their life better.
Yeah, that's good stuff, buddy. Hey, I got one more question for you. People want to be part of our team and learn what we're learning and do what we're doing. How do they get a hold of you? How do they connect and be part of what we're doing?
Well, I think the best domain name to reach me at now is paulnow.com. That's just my name, now.com. There's a little video there. There's a lot of free products there. The other domain name that we started with 3 years ago was ourunlimitedprofits.com, O-U-R, unlimitedprofits.com. The wonderful thing about working with you guys is that you have an abundant mentality. And for anyone that comes into a radius of about 5 miles of us, or more importantly, 500 miles online, or even actually there's people from Korea and Australia that have connected with us online, they can't help but begin to shift their mindset and see that we have more than enough to share. And that's why we give so many hundreds of hours of training, audio and video for free.
That's it. It's the philosophy of give first and build a community of
people. We're giving it forward, and we're making a difference, a positive difference.
All right, Paul, well, I appreciate your time.
Oh.
everybody, I highly recommend you hooking up with Paul. He's a great guy. Like I said, I've known him for years. Consider him one of my closest friends and trusted members of our community. We got 90,000 people, and he's right there at the top of the list as far as I'm concerned. So hook up with the guy. Go find him. Be part of our community. Find him on Facebook. Find him on YouTube. Like this YouTube video and share it out with your friends who you think might need some of the very same things we were just talking about. Paul, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate everything you're doing. Love you, man.